Hi everyone. Let's look at setting up or slicing settings for a lithophane. So I'm going to delete this charger head that I had from the previous video, and I could use open. Here's another thing you can do, typical in programs today, is you can open the folder that contains your STL, and you can drag and drop the STL there. It goes in that way too. So I've printed a few lithophanes in my time, and I've done some work trying to determine, let's go back to solid view, trying to determine whether it prints better laying down or whether you should stand it up. And the way a 3D printer works is because it goes layer by layer, I feel that when we stand it up, we do get a better quality. So I'm going to click on this guy and go to rotate. It's working kind of slow because it's in the middle of slicing for this setting. La 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 la. As soon as it's done slicing that, which will give us a preliminary thing. So it's estimating 1 hour, 47 minutes, but that's going to change because we want finer settings than we used for the charger head. So when I go to rotate, I want to rotate it on the x-axis. So I'm just going to come in and click 90. Okay, so as you can imagine, there would be a chance that this would fall over. So one of the things I do when I slice it from this direction is I change the support. We're not going to add support, but the support section is where we can change the build plate adhesion. So I'm going to put a raft down. And what that does, hopefully it'll show you, it 3D prints a rectangle below that. And that tends to be enough to keep it upright. So I'll let it finish slicing again. In the past, I haven't noticed a big difference between printing it flat and printing it upright. So it did add significant time, but it's worth it. I always know when I'm printing a lithophane to look for 4 or 5 hours. What else did I want to tell you? Oh, I mentioned this when we were making the lithophane. Don't resize a lithophane in the slicer. Okay, so if you decide that this was a poor size, do not resize it in the slicer. So you'd have to go back to the lithophane program and remake it, which isn't that bad once you get used to it. Okay, so I think we want to start with and I probably should have done this first, we want to start with high detail. And because I've made changes in the standard profile, it asks me if I want to keep or discard them. I'm going to discard them. And actually, I should have done this first because now I have to redo some of what I did. So let's go ahead and change the adhesion type back to raft. We won't need support. You are going to see the time shoot way up because of the resolution I have in the detail. So we might play with the 0.14, and we'll probably play with the infill. I wish it sliced a little faster for you guys. Okay, so changing it to high detail bumped it way up to 6 hours. We're going to tweak that a little bit. I'm going to bump this up to, let's just change it by 1/10 of a millimeter, see how much that does. And I'm also going to be looking at infill. Infill density, because it's pretty skinny. Let's see what happens when we bump that. No, I don't think I want to bump that. I am going to change the pattern to gyroid though. Yeah. I'm going to pause while this continues slicing. Okay, it doesn't look like it changed it much. Let's bump the layer height up to 18. Which is still pretty high considering that standard is 0.25. Let me think if there's anything else we can change. I'm going to look at the shell. Yeah, we don't want to change the shell. That's a good setting. I don't think it's a good idea to change infill density, so we're going to keep that there. I might change this back to grid. I think grid is fine. And we have our raft, so we don't need this open. So it's basically just looking at what layer height we can use that will maybe bring this down to 6 hours. I'm going to pause while it slices again. So switching the quality from 0.15 to 0.18, it cut off like an hour. So we might be even able to tweak it to 0.17. I'm going to try that. Actually, I want to see what 6 gives us. So I'll hit tab, it'll start slicing. I will pause again. Okay, so setting it to 0.16, got the time down to 5 hours and 25 minutes, which I'm pretty happy with. We'll still get a good quality, and I can do 5 hours. So it's interesting that they're now showing the breakdown too. But in this case, it's not a good idea to change the walls, I don't think. So we're going to go ahead and save this to file. And again, instead of the TAS5 there, go ahead and write your own name. And you really want to print lithophanes in white, so let's put that at the end. And then you can save. And I'll show you one more thing. I was just getting your assignment page ready. When you submit, it says to drag and drop files. So if I switch to my other folder, no. Let me switch to my print queue. Desktop, print queue. So here's the 2 G-code things I did. I just want you to drop it like that and attach it. So you're going to do it for all these files. So I hope that goes well.